Internationally acclaimed chef Susur Lee doesn't only have a knack for preparing exquisite food, he also has a skill for creating an environment that's not only good for the body, but for the soul. How was Feng Shui introduced to you?
Oh, it was back, my childhood growing up. It's very hard to explain because I'm not really a Feng Shui man, but I believe in how that feeling of environment. It's like you walk into an alley, you say, hey, it feels dangerous. There must be something, the energy is not right.
Susur's got such a remarkable reputation, not just here, but internationally. He's so well known for his creation, his art. I mean, food is his art form, essentially. You need to have an environment that, on its own terms, will be stimulating, respectable, have some strength and integrity, but not do it in a way that will sort of overwhelm what the main event is, which is the food. It was very deliberate to configure the interior in the most straightforward, simple way possible. I mean, there are no door frames that are exposed, there's no baseboards or casings of any kind. Walls and doors are virtually indistinguishable.
Certain moment, it is so zen, it's so quiet. And I think that is very suitable for myself. I don't want to have a place always has to be so busy or too quiet. So it has to have those two elements, the balance of yin and yang, noisy, but at a certain moment is quiet. So when I saw this location, and I sensed, the energy was right for me.
And when you are there and are at these intervals between the courses and the meal, you start to take stock of the differences around the room. You see the vellum screens that you passed on your way in. There are the curved openings of the original windows back out to the street.
When you walk in, it's almost like a little bit of like a stage. When you're passing through, and because it's such, you have to do a little corner turn and suddenly.
Yeah, it's almost you're uncomfortable when you walk through the door.
Because it's so isolated in that little area. And once when you come in, you feel like, oh, you take a deep breath, and you say, oh, here I am.
The lounge was deliberately compressed. It's got a lower ceiling, and the furniture, in a sense, is almost deliberately oversized for the space.
Even though, the room is not very big, but it has a very good energy. And people have a very comfortable feeling, and the color, and also the lighting, because we open most of the evening. There's
a light shelf on the west side that light is coming up through the shelf, and there are a series of decorative objects that are displayed over there. I said, what the hell are you putting those things up there for? It's like I'm not selling Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? But at night, it looks so great when the light, it looks so serious in a way, serious but fun. On the main wall, the south wall, which is right opposite the street, are these two very large illuminated wall panels. There's a huge mystery to those illuminated wall panels. Sometimes when it's late at night, when we put it kind of very deep red, and it's actually people getting into a very kind of romantic mood automatically, You just see the red of the color, it just suddenly, it changes people. And sometimes we got it kind of bright, when things are really happening early in the evening, and people love the energy. And slowly through the evening, the color changes. And it also changes the mood with the food together. You don't know that they're going to change when you first arrive. You think, well, this is the first time I'm here. They've got this purpley blue wall panel. And after a drink or two, and then suddenly you realize, well, hang on a minute, that was bluish purple a while ago. Now it's turquoise. The yin and the yang has to work out. And, even the kitchen, I have a few female chefs working with me. It's part of the balance, too. Because, when you're working with the heat, sometimes you get very aggressive, very pushy when it's busy. So sometimes you have a few, I would call it like the mother in the kitchen, is kind of calm things down. So those little elements, it might sound very silly, but it totally works.
Now, Susur, do you think the Feng Shui attributed to the success of the restaurant?
Because this is a very emotional business. And every day we deal with so many different energy of people, negative, positive. And so those kind of things you have to believe in that there's a certain energy or environment, which is feng shui. When you create something, you don't think of like, oh, I'm so creative. It's just the excitement. Hey, I can change that. Oh, I see that. When people normally have a certain dishes very good, I want to go into another level or even a higher level on that dish to achieve, to make the other dishes like, hey, I didn't know there's one more level. So those are my feeling of how I see cuisine should be.
Do you ever sort of stand at the side when it gets served just to see people's reactions?
Oh yeah, oh that is one of the high. You know, when you look at them, you can tell you're doing the thing that you believe you are giving some people pleasure. You know, seeing them, you know, eating that little piece of a scallop is like sometimes you just moan, close their eyes. Those emotions is very satisfying because it's our job in a way. Being a chef is such a thing to give people pleasure that way, and it's a very satisfying.
It's an environment that holds its own, it has its own integrity, its own interest. I think it's stimulating without being overwhelming, and yet it takes, I think, a back seat to the main event, the main purpose, which is the food.